Hi peeps, welcome back to Word Magic. Today I'm going to give you 5 tips on helping make your writing life a little smoother. And we're talking emotions at this point. So stick around, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so now. Hit the ringer below so you can get notified of new videos, and we will get started here. So a little introduction before I get started. I'm Yasmine Galenorn, New York Times, Publishers Weekly, and USA Today bestselling author of over 65 books. I write urban fantasy and paranormal romance, and I've got over 23 years in the business, 20 of it spent mostly with publishers in New York, and the last 3 I have been indie, and I'm entering my 4th year as an indie author now. And so that's a little bit about who I am. So the life of a writer has many ups and downs, a lot of emotional turmoil in it, and can just sometimes be crazy making. I know, I've been here a long time. But there are a few tips I can give you that will make things a little easier along the way if you apply them. Some of them are not quite as easy as they sound, but I highly recommend that you attempt to put them into action in your life. And I think this can go for a lot of the different artistic careers. Well, gonna laugh a little bit, but yeah, I just recorded, or I thought I recorded about 10 minutes of this video and realized I hadn't turned on the camera. So I guess I got a rehearsal. So here we go. One of the first tips, and I'm going to give you, is don't compare. Don't compare yourself to other writers. Don't compare yourself to where they're at on their journey. Don't compare yourself to how many books they have out, how many lists they have hit, how well you think they're doing. And I'm going to give you a little reason here, and it's going to be a little nebulous because I do not, reveal information from friends giving me. I'm friends with a lot of authors, and a few who have seemed to be doing really well. I found out we're facing massive difficulties. Honestly, I had no clue to some of the traumas and problems that they had faced, and it was sobering when I realized that. And on the same subject, I have had a lot of traumas in my life, and I faced a lot of hardships, and a lot of people don't know about some of those. They may look at me and see, oh wow, she's a successful author, she's hit all the lists, It's like, she must be doing really well, she has a beautiful house, but that doesn't talk about all the health problems that, my husband and I have faced, or family members have faced, and it doesn't talk about the, just some of the emotional toll that my 20 years in traditional publishing took on me, and it took a big toll on me. So when you find yourself comparing, and when you find yourself envying, remember those other writers have had a difficult time. Everybody in this world has had a difficult time to some degree, and some of those writers you may envy or be comparing yourself to, they may have traumatic events going on. Comparison can only make you feel smaller. The only person I compete with anymore is myself. I want to do better than I've done before. I want to increase my audience, but I'm not allowing myself anymore to look at and go, oh, so-and-so's doing this, and so-and-so's making so much, and so-and-so sold so many books, and I only sold this many books. It's crazy making, and it will eat you up inside. So do your best to curb the comparison habit, because it's not good for you. And it's not good for your spirit. One of the ways that I deal with this is to truly try and wish the people that I find myself envying well. And to go, you know, they must have done something to earn that. They must have done something, you know, to make that happen in their lives. And, you know, I applaud them for it. And even if it doesn't always quite ring true in my heart, at least some of it does. And it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like a better person, because I'm putting out positive energy there. And it makes me feel like, well, if they did it, then I can do it, you know. And if I've done something, then maybe you can do something. So I really urge you to quit comparing yourself to others. There's always going to be somebody selling better than you. There's always going to be somebody with more fans than you. There's always going to be somebody who writes better than you. There's always going to be somebody who has more luck than you. On the same token, there's always going to be a number of people who don't have the luck you've got, who can't write as well as you do, who don't have the audience you've got. You know, it's a circular thing, and we just keep pushing ourselves, and we keep working on our own path and keep in your own lane, and the envy won't eat you up. Years ago, my mentor, she was a romance writer, and while she didn't read my work a whole lot back then, she mentored me almost emotionally, in a sense. And when she would get a new contract, you know, yeah, I'd be envious. I'd be like, I want to write for New York. I want to write, you know, novels and have them published. I would stop myself and I'd go, you know, yes, I wish that could happen for me, but I'm grateful it happened for her too. I'd like to have a similar success, but I don't begrudge her success. And that saved our friendship, and that saved me from getting bitter, and getting bitter as opposed to better, and being angry all the time, because it'd be so easy to be angry at all of the other people you think are doing better than you. Now, hint number 2, walk out of toxic situations. We've all had those frenemies who really didn't wish us well, but they were patronizing about, oh, well, how nice for you to have such a wonderful little hobby. Oh, well, that's nice. I'm so glad you managed that success. It must feel really good to be you. And you hear in the tone of voice that, yeah, I really am not wishing you well. And if you are putting yourself in that situation, back out. Stop hanging out with the people who are making you uncomfortable. Stop hanging out with the people who treat you like dirt, who patronize you. And if it's a family member, it's an even more difficult process. My ex used to tell me, well, if you become successful as an author, I'll have to leave you. And it damaged not only our relationship, but my writing. Every time I sat down to write, I would keep thinking, if I do this and I manage it, you know, our relationship is done. And for 9 years that happened, and I did one of the few things I regret. I threw out 2 book manuscripts and a bunch of short stories trying to appease him. And he just found something else to bitch about. And I realized that it wasn't about my writing at all. It wasn't about whether he would feel insecure if I managed to become a success. It was all about him, because no matter what, he always found something else to bitch about. And so, you know, after he beat me up, he blackened this arm from shoulder to elbow. that was the final straw. And I don't know why I put up with the emotional abuse. Well, I do. I had a very abusive childhood. So it was familiar, but the physical abuse I couldn't. That was it. And I left. And I realized after a couple years of being on my own that I would never compromise my essential self again for anybody. That if they loved me, they would love the fact that I wanted to be a writer, that I was writing and submitting and trying to make it. That if they loved me, they would support me, just like I would support their endeavors. So if you are having problems with a family member, I guess what I would tell you is try and find out what's behind it. And you may end up having to go to therapy or counseling to figure a way around it, because that's a toxic situation and it's just going to infect the relationship and it will infect your writing. So you may have to actually say, hey, we need to talk to somebody about this because it's hurting me, because it makes me feel like you don't support me and you don't care. If they go and it's not resolved, then you have decisions to make on how to deal with it. That's all I can say about that. But the situations that are toxic that you can remove yourself from easily, do so. Don't meet with the friend that you kind of dread seeing every week. Write instead. It's like you don't really enjoy hanging out with that online critique group where all they ever do is bitch. Then drop out of it. Then pull back. Okay, tip number 3. Remember, everybody had to start somewhere at some time. And this goes along with don't compare yourself, because if you are just starting out, there's no way that you are going to have the experience that a writer who's been writing for 20 years has. And that's okay, because you're at a different level than they are. And I'm not saying level as in poor writer, better writer. I'm saying a different level of experience than they are. You will learn. That's what this whole industry is. It's a learning curve that never stops. So when you are looking at, say, J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or, someone that you just are like astounded with, remember they started somewhere. J.K. Rowling started writing in a coffee shop when she was on welfare, I believe. I lived in a converted school bus while I was writing. And I slept with a hatchet by my head, and I was poor, very, very poor for a while. And it goes on. Everybody has a different journey to their goal. And your journey is unique. And it may take you longer or it may take you shorter. So take a deep breath and go, okay. They may, have 20 books out, 50 books out, 65 books out. They had to start somewhere. And I'm going to start. So tell yourself, I'm going to start. Here's my starting point. It can only get better. Tip number 4. Celebrate your successes. Even the little successes. Now, when I was starting out, it was when publishing was pretty much all trad, and yeah, we did everything hard copy and all that. I got 600 rejection slips from editors and agents and publishers, and granted, they made me sad when I got them, but they were a symbol that I was trying. So I kind of celebrated it when I got a response. It's like, I got a handwritten response from so-and-so, I got a handwritten response from them. Yeah, it's a form letter, but you know what? I tried. And everything like that to me was a symbol that I was trying. The little successes. I got a poem published somewhere. Hey, so-and-so read my story and they had fun with it. all those little successes build, and they build our self-esteem, and they build our strength, and they build our momentum. And when you work with the law of attraction, like attracts like. If you focus on the negative, that's what you're going to see. If you focus on the lack and then the need, then that's what you're going to feel, is lack and need. Focus on that which you've achieved, and that will build more success. Now, my 5th tip is kind of a silly one in a way, but it really makes a difference. Get together with your friends and, create a mutual admiration society. Friends who support you, friends who care about what you do, who get excited when you tell them, hey, I just had the best month ever, or I just wrote 3,000 words, the most I've ever written at once. Maybe they aren't writers, but if they see that this makes you happy and this is a success in your eyes, they will shore you up and you will shore them up. It's important to have that support network if you can build one. And even just a couple friends, that you can text and go, I just had the worst day ever. And they'll text back going, oh, but remember, you've had successes. You'll have more, Yeah, it's a bad day, but it's going to be different. It's really important to build a success network, to build a support network. We are our own best cheerleaders. Sometimes we're the only cheerleader we have. But when you do have friends who support what you do and whom you support, it can make a world of difference. And it's wonderful to get that reassuring, hey, well done, from a friend. It makes us feel proud of ourselves. It makes us feel strong. So there's nothing wrong with a mutual admiration society when we're all shoring each other up. Now, those are my 5 tips for today. I've been asked to give a couple writing prompts at times. And I've forgotten the past few videos, so tonight I will give you a couple writing prompts. Since we were talking about tarot the other day, I urge you to look through your tarot deck, pick a tarot deck, pick a card, and blindly, just pull it out, and write a scene or short story about that card, about what it tells you. For instance, if you pick the 2 of Cups, the lovers, maybe it'll be a romance. If you pick the 5 of Swords, maybe it'll be about someone who's feeling defeated and what they do to overcome it. If you pick the Sun, maybe about a community event where something wonderful happens for the community and what they have to face to get there. So in fact, for those of you who do not have a tarot deck, I will pick a card for you myself. And you can take your choice. I'll pick 3 cards. So, I'm using my very special deck, my Dreams of Gaia deck, which I reviewed a couple videos ago, and I'll review a couple more tarot decks soon. So, the first card is the 3 of Water. It would be 3 of Cups in most decks. 3 of Cups is happiness and abundance and feeling like all your ducks are in a row and everything feels steady and good and heartwarming. There are a lot of other meanings, but there are some of the basic ones. So we have the 3 of Cups. Or maybe you would rather write, in most decks, this is the Emperor, the Father, the one God. Maybe write about a leader, or a man who needs to learn how to lead and can't, or a man who's leading too harshly and needs to learn how to soften his leadership abilities. So there's the Father, and we'll do one more. And so we have the King of Earth. Again, another masculine card, but he's the green man. He's Caranos. He is the generous and benevolent leader. He is the provider and protector. He makes things solid and brings the game home for the family. So yeah, we have the King of Earth, we have the Three of Water, and we have the Father. So there are 3 possible prompts for you, or you can pick your own. And next week, tell me whether you actually did a little writing exercise and how it felt. I urge you to not put them in the comments below, please, because I really shouldn't read unpublished work, but also you don't want people just latching onto what you write. But tell me how it felt and if you had fun with it. And we will talk about other things next week, and I think that's about it. I'm finishing up Witching Hour and having fun with it, and I'm so glad so many of you have loved the Silver Mist so far. So for now, I will say farewell and adieu, and we will meet again.